Hello and welcome to this very special show on NASSCOM's Social Innovation Honours 2013. I'm Shweta Rajpal-Kohli, and with me here on the show, Mohit Thukral, Senior Vice President of GenPact, and GenPact's been associated with this event right from its inception. Thanks so much, Mohit, for being with us here on the show.
Thank you. Welcome.
Let's first take a look at what NASSCOM's Social Innovation Honours are all about.
NASSCOM Foundation conceived an initiative called NASSCOM Social Innovation Honours with an aim to celebrate innovations that demonstrate exceptional use of information and communication technology for social development. The foundation pioneered the honours in 2008 to recognize and showcase such innovations that aim to impact the society in a positive manner.
Initially, the work of NASSCOM Foundation really focused quite a bit on the nonprofit community and how technology could be used to better the work that they're doing. But within the last decade or so, there's been an emergence of many stakeholders coming about and doing tremendous amount of good, and in our case, using technology to do that good. The Social Innovation Honor has come about really to celebrate that, to say that there are many players, many stakeholders, many leaders in this space that are doing good using technology, and that technology being used not just as a gimmick or as something as an add-on, but really being used for greater impact, for scale, for reach into pockets of places where others are not getting reached.
The key aim behind the initiative was to identify social innovations across public, private and not-for-profit sectors and recognize any innovation in the form of a principle, an idea, an intervention. The key factor of the awards, social aspect of the innovation, was in line with the overall agenda of the foundation to enable and influence inclusive social development in India.
NASSCOM and NASSCOM Foundation really believe in the value of technology and its ability to transform India. The Social Innovation Honor is really, it epitomizes that belief. Over the years, we've had over 1,000 different players apply to this Innovation Honor and demonstrate that really every single issue can be addressed with technology.
NASSCOM Social Innovation Honours provides an excellent opportunity to the winners to interact and network with the leaders of the IT industry. It also offers a platform to join the network of the past winners for access to additional training, funding and networking opportunities.
One of the biggest reasons that the NASSCOM Social Innovation Honor gets awarded during the NASSCOM India Leadership Forum is exactly this, to take care of one of the biggest bottlenecks of taking any of these innovations to scale, and that is the networks that the entrepreneurs get associated with. With the right networks, with really strong networks like that of NASSCOM, these entrepreneurs can find mentors, they can find investors, they can find partners, they can find a vehicle, an avenue to reach those that can actually help them take these innovations to scale and to go beyond.
Adding a feather to their achievements so far, NASSCOM Foundation has partnered with UNICEF this year for a special award, one which will recognize innovations that impact children to help them thrive and develop to their full potential.
We're very excited about our partnership with UNICEF. This year we added a special category to recognize winners that are looking after the safety, security and well-being of our children, of our nation's children.
Innovation through ICT, information and communication technologies. This is clearly an idea whose time has come.
I think it's really, I mean, you have to use technology to innovate. As the world changes, innovation with technology is the future.
Tell us a little more about the journey, because this is now the 5th edition of this interesting event, really. Tell us all about the kind of applications you've been getting. Tell us about the kind of case studies you've really seen throughout this journey.
NASSCOM Social Innovation Honours really started about 2008.
Right.
And since then we've received more than 1,000 applicants really coming out with different ideas.
That's quite a number.
Yeah, and those ideas actually are coming to us not only from large cities. They come from cities as Meerut or Jalandhar or Jaipur Jharkhand. You know, it's really coming from the smaller cities.
But the impression that one would typically have is that you know, technology hasn't really been able to find its way into many of the tier 2, tier 3 cities in the way we'd like it to. And here you're talking about social innovation using technology.
So I think people are very technology savvy in these cities, right?
Right.
With the invent of devices, which all of us use today, right? Access to the internet, the telecom, handheld devices. I think people are now, it's reaching to, you know, different corners of our country. And as that happens, people are now thinking about innovating using technology, right? And really working with the platform like NASSCOM's social initiative platforms to really come out with ideas which they can actually implement in those markets or in those geographies within our own country. So the ideas are not really looking at the big bang which could happen in big cities, but the ideas are there which could help a lot of the stuff we do in smaller cities and in rural India.
And it's really all about bringing about inclusive growth with some of these, and that's what's actually absolutely fascinating, Mohit, because what we're saying now is not just using technology to set up another .com. You're talking about using technology for social innovation.
Absolutely. So it's about inclusive growth,
Yeah.
right? And it's really putting in people, getting in people and joining a forum or a momentum and saying you can also innovate, you can be given a platform through the whole NASSCOM initiative of social innovation honors, and really bringing out the best. And actually what it does is when you look at some of the areas where people have innovated in this space, it really is touching a lot of lives in those communities, right? And we'll talk a little bit about later about some of these initiatives which have come through over the last few years, which NASSCOM has rewarded as part of the foundation.
Right. In fact, why don't we start with that? Why don't we take a look at some of those who've actually won these honors, people who've come up with just brilliant ideas to bring about social innovation. We start by talking about eHealth Point. Let's take a look.
Amit Jain noticed a problem that everyone did, but no one had a solution. He first reached out to villagers with safe drinking water for a mere 75 rupees a month. For those who wanted lesser, 10 paise a litre was all that he wanted.
In terms of clean drinking water, we purify the water, which is the raw water or the feed water, and make it clear of any kind of contamination, largely the chemical contamination, because that is something which does not go away with boiling or by conventional measures. And then we provide generally that clean water at around 75 rupees a month for a household, which is less than half a day wages as per the prevailing rates, and close to 500,000 people accessing clean water through our efforts.
Next, it was the turn of basic healthcare. eHealth Point provides a unique service for villagers where the urban doctors are connected to rural population to meet their basic needs.
We provide healthcare which has three components. One is the telemedicine consultation, which we provide through doctors, both the general physicians and specialists, which are located in urban areas, and we provide the consultation to folks who are in rural areas at our health point centers. This is enabled by a broadband video, which is pretty much there in most of rural India now, and we should make more and more use of that. The second component in healthcare is providing pharmacy goods, which is drugs and medicines, which we endeavor to provide at more than 50% price off in most categories. And this is enabled by a good degree of supply chain management, efficient supply chain management, and sourcing and providing generic drugs, as we see. And the third component is providing reliable, consistent diagnostics at much lower than market prices, and ensuring that these are available at the doorstep of villagers whom we serve.
eHealth Point has helped villagers with 30,000 consultations, 15,000 diagnostics and access to safe drinking water for 5 lakh rural people, 60% of who are women and children.
A very, very interesting concept indeed, and this was in fact in the for-profit category. Yeah. But who would think that something like this can actually make money?
Look, it's interesting, right? When you look at what eHealth Point did, it's all about innovating in rural India, right? And look at healthcare. Healthcare is a big need in our country, right? Access to doctors, access to medical care, access to information about, even prescriptions and diagnosis of whether it's a blood test or whatever. People in smaller towns or villages, they now have access to that. So look at, you're taking healthcare, which is such a big agenda even with the government today, of taking healthcare to the rural part of India, and it's a big initiative by even the government of India. So how you're really taking some of that care to the rural sector and giving people access, and how people now get access because they all use a mobile phone, right?
Right.
They have a device. They can send information, get information, or receive information, or even a prescription for a drug. So I think that all is changing. It's so unique, and it's really tapping into the different level and layer of our society today, where people are now access to it.
Do you think the government's doing enough in this area? What about the kind of regulatory support that is needed? Is that really a missing piece in the puzzle?
I think government support, you know, you really need help here, right? I mean, you have such great, brilliant ideas today of youngsters or people who are for-profit or non-profit. I think it's tough. It's very hard. Some of these people, or what they've done, foundations like NASSCOM bring these people up, put them on a platform, showcase them to the world, and they get help from the environment around you. I don't think so the state ever would come back and say, oh, you're doing such a great job and creating care and health care in these communities. Or
forget about providing an enabling environment for it.
Correct.
Right.
And here is how we can help you.
Yeah.
It doesn't happen.
What about the industry? Because we very often expect the government to do everything, but the private sector should chip in. Are they doing enough?
So I think private sector does enough, but we could do more.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
We could help them scale, because a lot of these companies are small, right? It comes from great ideas, but great ideas need to be taken to a different level and be scaled. So some of the ideas and some of the folks who are doing this don't have the ability to scale. Private sector should help them scale, give them the tools to scale, and obviously help them with funding in some form or fashion for them to take this to one-to-many from what they do today.
All right, time now to also take a look at another winner, a very, very interesting one again, called Election Watch software. Just find out what it's all about.
Anil Bairwal always believed knowledge is power. So he decided to set up myneta.info, a web-based application to provide detailed information on the political leaders.
When ADR filed a PIL in 1999, based on which Supreme Court mandated the Election Commission to ask for background information of all the candidates who contest elections, and said that this information should be shared with the voters of India. So when we won that PIL and when the Supreme Court gave the judgment, after that the question was, the Supreme Court has given the judgment, Election Commission has instituted the format, but how do we take this information to people?
The software has inbuilt checks to help maximize the authenticity of data. New modules that detail the election expense declaration of candidates has also been added recently.
All the issues which we face, you can trace the origin of most of our problems into our political setup. So the question was, how do we take this information of the background of the candidates who are contesting elections, whether for Lok Sabha, Rajya Sabha, or for the various state assemblies, because these are the people who make the laws. How do we take this information to the voters? And that is when this idea of Election Watch software came in. If you give incorrect information about a candidate to the voters, and for some reason if the voter loses, this is very critical information. So the software also has this feature of ensuring that the data is right, because it's reviewed multiple times.
With access to this information, voters across the country can get information about their leaders to make an informed choice.
अपनी बेटी का रिश्ता तय करने से पहले कितना सोचते हैं हम? लड़का किस खानदान का है, कितना पढ़ा लिखा है, उसका चाल चलन ठीक ठाक है या नहीं? कुछ लोग तो जासूसी तक करवाते हैं, पूरा चिट्ठा खोल के रख देते हैं, तब जाकर सौंपते हैं हम अपनी बेटी का हाथ किसी के हाथ में. लेकिन जब हम अपना देश किसी के हाथ में सौंपते हैं, तो क्या हम इतना ही ध्यान रखते हैं? जरा सी भी छानबीन करते हैं? हमारे चुनाव क्षेत्र में कितने उम्मीदवार खड़े हैं? वो कितने पढ़े लिखे हैं? उनके खिलाफ कोई क्रिमिनल केसेस तो नहीं?
right, again a very, very interesting idea, but what about accessibility? I mean, how much of our population can actually access something like that? Isn't that a big concern when you talk about using technology for social innovation?
I think accessibility is a challenge, right?
Right.
Computers, access to internet is not there everywhere.
Exactly.
It's growing
Here
and
you're talking about the
expanding.
entire electorate, which should access something like this. But even though it's growing, it clearly hasn't reached the levels we'd like it to.
But it's expanding. But having said that, right? But there is accessibility to technology and internet in a large part of our country, right?
Right.
But I think the awareness of what Election Watch has done has to be more, right? And it has to be, in a way, a part of the process that people have access to it. People should know about it.
All right, clearly challenges are going to remain, but the idea is to overcome those challenges and keep innovating. We slip into a quick break at this point. On the other side, we bring you more winners and more case studies. Don't go away. Welcome back. You're watching our special show on the NASSCOM Social Innovation Honours 2013. There's also a new category that NASSCOM has added this year. In fact, UNICEF partnering with NASSCOM to talk about children-specific innovation. Tell us a little more about it.
So this year it's a new category. It's a new area.
Yeah.
So NASSCOM Foundation with UNICEF is really bringing this out.
In fact, the next category that of winners that we'd like to highlight is an online video subtitling service. Someone who's just an IIT pass out who's actually a winner. Perhaps an indication of how the age of innovation is actually coming down. And what a simple but fascinating idea it really is. We all watch videos on YouTube, but there are so many of those videos where language becomes a problem. So all that it's doing is giving you subtitles.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so it's just a software, you download it on your computer, and each time you watch a YouTube video, you get subtitles in the language you want. Is that it?
Absolutely. And it's great, right? So look at the diversity and culture of our country, right? So if you're watching a YouTube video in English, you can even get the titles out there, right?
And 7 languages in India alone.
7 languages in India, right?
That's quite something.
So it's giving access again to see what happens around the world. So getting the world a little bit closer. So great idea, right?
Yeah.
It's a great concept. People only thought about it when they did karaoke, right? I mean, it comes as captions out there. But if you look at this, you're pulling out videos or a song or any information out, and it's really putting the words as you are actually viewing it. So sometimes if you look at it, you don't see the video, you're actually seeing what is being written, and you don't have to listen. So I think it's pretty interesting. It could be scaled. It has some legs, and that's why it was picked up as one of the awards as part of the whole initiative by NASSCOM.
In fact, why don't we take a look at what this innovative, unique service is all about?
I used to watch the lecture videos of MIT and Harvard when I was in the college. So I actually had the problem understanding the accent, especially when it was British or Chinese. So when I asked my friends and colleagues if they are able to understand, they also had the problem. So this sparked an idea in me. Why not get these videos subtitles, and the subtitles will be on the fly. So we provide the free software product on the subscription basis. So if you have subscribed to a product and you're watching a video on YouTube, you'll be automatically be able to watch the videos with our subtitles. So there's no effort required from the user side. You just have to watch, you just have to install the software for the first time. You can also subtitle our videos using a web interface. So if you are a registered user, you can subtitle the video and upload it on a server. We support 7 languages right now. Those are the Indian languages. So once we are satisfied that users are able to use our service, then we'll be moving towards the foreign languages. Our products are on the beta testing phase. A group of around 250 users, they are using our products, and we got a very good feedback from them. If you see the trend of the online media, if you can see the stats of YouTube and compare it with the stats the previous year, the previous to previous year, you can find that the number of views and the traffic of YouTube has only increased many folds with time. So this has been a good business case for us.
Absolutely brilliant idea, but before we start wrapping up, I'd like to ask you which one of these innovations is closest to your heart?
I think the healthcare one.
Okay.
Clearly, because it's pretty interesting, right?
Yeah.
You're making a difference to people's lives. You're providing care. You're improving mortality rates of people who are living in those villages or in those smaller towns. It's really interesting. And healthcare is such a big area of focus in our country and requires
Clearly,
some
and
innovation.
really the heart of inclusive growth that we'd like healthcare to be.
Absolutely.
What about this year? Is there any area that you'd like innovations to come up in for this year's categories?
Well, we'd love to get something which is really helping, the interiors of our country. India still is not urban India in which we live. It's all about also a lot of rural India. And a lot of what we do in this country is around agriculture. So love to see some innovation in that space, really, right? How can produce be more than what it is today? How can people do certain things differently in that space? So really, I mean, I would love to see something coming out from either the Children Award or the other awards of something which can change the way we actually in the agriculture space. It's such a big area for us.
All right, here's wishing NASSCOM and GenPact all the very best for this year's honors as well. But before we go, let's take a look at the jury headed by none other than Mr. Ramadorai. Take a look.
Judging the winners of the prestigious NASSCOM Social Innovation Honours is a challenging responsibility. And as was the case in the last few years, this year too, the jury members of this year's NSIH edition are some of the biggest names from the corporate and social sectors in India. Last year's jury chairperson Anand Mahindra says the task ahead, that of selecting the winners from over 1,000 applicants, won't be easy. Here's a look at this year's jury.
I think skilling for employability and employment, skilling for not for the sake of enrollment is the most critical thing which is closest to my heart. That's where I'm focusing my energies on. Could be restoring of the arts and crafts culture of this country. Could be maintenance at a local level, agricultural transformation through technologies so that the produce can be multiplied. Logistics and distribution through technology is another area. But more importantly, ability of every individual to do something with their hands, which leads to a livelihood, which gives you the upward mobility.
The jury duty for NASSCOM Social Innovation Award is something that I absolutely love because it's the most educative and it's extremely uplifting. It releases a lot of positive energy. The awards are really meant to find talent and ideas wherever they may be, and we get a lot of ideas across sectors, across small towns, and when you just see that entire rush of intellectual energy, I think it's quite amazing.
One lacuna that I find in innovations is that most of the innovations remain limited to the local area, and they do not really get transformed into services and products. So both the corporate sector and the government can give a lending hand in order to support it both financially as well as create opportunities for them to grow. Because the innovations, result of the innovations, the benefits from the innovations have not been reaching out to the people. They remain largely localized.
The change on the ground in terms of the communities participating in the social change will become very, very important. When we talk about the Panchayati Raj or the Lokpal, it is democratization and taking the decision making at the lowest level, at the village level, at the community level. I think these are the ways where the social change will come about. It's only going to see acceleration in the future because of the reach, like I said, and the affordability and the accessibility. Television was an early technology which reached out to the masses. Today, connecting people through television, connecting through the mobile network, and tomorrow through the rural broadband is going to be the next wave of change.